And I'm starting streaming.
Woohoo!
We did it. Or did we?
I
What have
don't
we
know if we
done?
did. So I distinctly saw that you had YouTube on at one point. Not YouTube, Twitch on at one point as the window slid by. Are you thinking of twitching Astronomy Cast?
Nope. Nope.
Okay, you were just cleaning your screen.
No, I've done something quite magical that you're going to be very impressed with.
Okay.
Um, Check it out. Here, let me just fix this here. Let me put up a picture here. Hold on. All right, let me do this.
And I'm grabbing my notes.
Okay, and everyone let me know how the audio is. Here's what I've done. What do you see as my camera?
Cool. That is exciting.
So you see, so I'm able to turn. So we were able to do this all in the olden days to make a virtual camera,
Right.
and now I've been able to do it in OBS, so that when you're in the stream with me, for example, if we're looking through a telescope or I'm just engineering the show, and I'm going to be showing the audience graphics, video, things like that. And in the past, you had to just use your imagination.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to.
And this is because you are on a PC.
I'll bet you can do this too. It's an
Nope.
OBS.
Nope.
No,
No,
no.
they haven't enabled it yet for Macs.
Uh, but we'll
I-
put it back into that. So, because it's not super important for what we're doing today.
Nope.
Um, yeah, too bad, Mac user. You,
Well,
I don't know what to tell you.
I have Loopback, which is the best way to merge audio from multiple sources.
So,
So
is this your new camera place? Is this where you want to
this
be from here on out? You're
where
sort
I'm
of
sitting.
edge. Well, you're following like lower. You're following like a rule of thirds here. You're
I
putting.
didn't mean to be doing
It's
that.
okay.
It's much more a matter of I thumped off my bike rather harshly on Monday,
Yeah.
and I didn't have it while I was Twitch streaming, but I went back and I got the pillow that goes under my arm because my arm
So this
appreciates
is
it.
just for today that you're going to be over on the
Yes.
side like that. No problem. I
Yes.
can fix it. I can fix it.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just going to shift over.
It wasn't on
We're
purpose.
going to
It was
realize how much control I have. Pamela, it's good to see you again.
Fraser. And we get to see each other in
I
person
know.
next
I know.
Friday.
In just over a week.
Yeah. No, in a week.
Sure. Yes, in a week.
Because you get here quite early in the morning, so it's actually less than a
Yeah,
week.
we fly out Thursday night. Me, Chad, the children, and return. Yeah, I have odd lighting. This is my telescope lighting, so I haven't changed my lighting around. So what happened was, oh, I popped out of the headphones here. We did a bunch of. You missed all kinds of things. We did a bunch of telescope live streaming with thanks to Oceanside Photo and Telescope. Skylius and I did a bunch of live
Yeah.
streams. I did one with Trevor Jones from Astro Backyard, and it just made a ton more sense to bring down the lighting in my camera to kind of match the telescope view. And I haven't sort of figured out I like it. I like it.
It works.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to change the lighting to be more daytime lighting, but yeah, this is sort of my astronomy lighting, so telescope lighting. And it was funny because people were nagging the other people that I was doing the streaming with because they were way too bright. Trevor had his whole room was totally lit up and it was just really bright. So anyway, so here's the deal. Is that we've got access to an amazing observatory from Oceanside Photo and Telescope whenever we want to use it, and it takes just insanely fast, good pictures of the night sky. So, galaxy star clusters in 15 seconds. planetary nebulae in about 30 seconds, and galaxies in about a minute. Diffuse nebulae more like 2 or 3 minutes. So I can now, over the course of like an hour, go through dozens of objects, and I'm sort of figuring out how to do this faster and faster.
What time zone is it in?
Well, the time zone it's in California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So it's in the same time zone as me. It would be cooler if the time zone was more into the future, like, but they're building a bunch more of these, right? So Oceanside is going to have they're going to have one in Texas. Eventually, they're going to have one in the Southern Hemisphere. And it was just awesome to do this. Dustin Gibson, who's the guy who purchased, he and his business partner, they bought Oceanside Photo and Telescope from Craig Weatherwax, who was the old owner of Oceanside and was a huge supporter of what we did with Astronomy Cast.
We loved him.
Yeah, Craig was great, and Dustin is just more of the same. And he jumped in and was super. He gave both of us a telescope as sort of his introduction, and then set up this observatory. And it is a game. It is an absolute game changer. Like, I cannot believe. And so I'm trying to rebuild. I mentioned this in the spring before we stopped doing Astronomy Cast, that I'm planning to bring back the virtual star parties, but in an all new way, where the bedrock is this really fast remote telescope that ensures that there is always a really high quality view of the night sky, and then we will layer on top of that all of the other shenanigans and guests and fun like that. And I hope the people who have joined and watched liked that new version, and because it's so easy to do, it's going to be a whole new world. So that was the big thing. You did a pile of traveling.
I did. I kind of really did. So, oh man, I can't even remember all of it. I went to the Astro League meeting. I know I did other things, but most importantly, I was in Vienna for 2.5 weeks for the International Astronomical Union, and
don't say another word. We're going to get into that in the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Audacity chose this moment to say it needs to be optimized, and I'm guessing it's optimizing. There, it's done optimizing.
It's done optimizing. It is optimal. We have reached peak optimal Audacity.
It's true.
So whenever you're ready, why don't we record the show? And of course, if you're wondering what this is, you have stumbled into. This is a live episode of Astronomy Cast. Astronomy Cast. That's Pamela. I'm Fraser. We are going to record the show. It'll take us about 25 minutes. 30 minutes, and then we will stick around and we will answer your questions about space and astronomy. Hilariously, Chad is here in country, and he's going to be showing up at the house in about an hour. So, and we're going to be hanging out and doing a bunch of work over the weekend, and he's sticking around, and then he's flying to St. Louis with me and the kids. So we're going to have him local for when we do next week's show.
Awesome. Yeah. I am just opening up the weekly space hangout chat because, you guys and what you say are kind of important.
Yeah, your mic is sort of cutting in and out. Have you got something weird going on with it?
No, I have a stubborn mic.
Tap the mic that you think you're using. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I replaced the cable. It turns out that my preamp is just not the happiest preamp in the world.
Okay.
I need to replace it next. Okay. I am finding the record button. I am pressing record. I am recording.
I am also recording. All right, here we go. Astronomy Cast, episode 499, Hubble versus Lemaître. Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand... Let me do that again. But I'm not going to say Lemaître again. Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly... Chad's going to need a bigger break. Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. I'm Fraser Cain, publisher of Universe Today. With me, again, is Dr. Pamela Gay, the director of Technology and Citizen Science at the Astronomical Society of the Pacific and the director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how are you doing?
I, eh, I, my brain is good, but I mangled my arm falling off of a bicycle. And so, like, wrist, elbow, shoulder, ribs, they are all mad at me. So, if I'm in a slightly different position and sitting a bit stiller than normal,
Yep, because you've got
that's
a
why.
mangled arm.
Yeah, it
Oh,
turns out that bikes will randomly stop for no obvious reason. And yeah, yeah.
yes. Yes, that is the dark side of riding a bicycle is that you can fall down and hurt yourself. I'm
Yes.
glad you weren't hurt any worse because I've had a lot of friends get the old collarbone break or the arm break, elbow break, uh, helmet
Yeah.
explosion. So we take our mountain biking very seriously around these parts. So so the fact that you're able to walk away from it and didn't have anything long term is good. But
Yeah.
ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so many. Both of us have so much news that I think we're just gonna have to trickle the whole thing out over the course of several months. But I think there's a couple of big things. First, next week we're going to be meeting in person at the 500th episode of Astronomy Cast. So if you're already going to be joining us, we can't wait to see you. You got back from the IAU. That's the whole point of this episode, so we can cover that news in there. And the last thing is that we've got a virtual observatory going. Big thanks to the good folks at Oceanside Photo and Telescope. So if you want to hang out and observe the night sky with me and other people from the community, there's lots of news on how we're going to be able to do that. So it's really exciting. We've got this really cool telescope. I've done a bunch of live streams on both Twitch and YouTube, and it is total game changer. So stay tuned to all the work that we're doing on all these places. Let's get into the. Did you have any more news before we get into the show?
Vienna's a fabulous place. I rode a brand new bike there for multiple weeks without any accidents. I recommend Vienna and biking in Vienna, and maybe not biking on an older bike that hasn't been repaired recently.
Right. We started out Astronomy Cast with the controversial decision to deplanet Pluto. And here we are, more than a decade later, at the brink of recording our 500th episode when another big decision is coming down from the IAU. Whose name goes on the concept that our universe is expanding, Hubble or Lemaître? It's a big deal, and Pamela knows all about it. That's the only that's as hard as I'm going to try and pronounce Lemaitre. I may very well go back into a more, English Canadian accent as opposed to a French version of pronunciation, but that's the best I can do. So all the people who speak French in the audience, I hope I did his name justice.
It's way better than my Lemaître. I mean,
Lemaitre.
yeah, all my American comes out on that one.
Is that how you say it?
That is the
Wow.
Americanized pronunciation.
Yep.
We pronounce all of the letters
Yep.
because it's not lieutenant.
So,
Um,
so first, before we get into the actual decision, can you just set the stage? You were in Vienna.
yes.
IAU was meeting. What happened?
Okay, so for this year's International Astronomical Union meeting, various groups of people working across multiple divisions, commissions, working groups came up with a list of resolutions, things that they wanted the entire organization to vote on as these are things that we as the astronomical community need to dedicate our efforts towards. And this also, in some cases, includes dedicating our financial means towards. And among the kinds of things that we voted for was the various nations voted to dedicate funding to opening a new astronomy office for education. The fundamental physics groups, or in this case, fundamental astrophysics groups, voted on Here are the ways we're going to upgrade how we talk about the celestial coordinate systems now that we have better instrumentation, better algorithms, and can measure things more precisely. My favorite vote was they shortened the resolution to, okay, now we're going to vote on the Earth's rotation. And quite nicely, 100% of the people in the room, maybe there was one abstention, said, yes, the Earth rotates. And we were good with that.
As opposed to the universe rotating around the Earth?
It was the abbreviation of a new mathematical definition, and the need for continued efforts on measuring the Earth's rotation and quantifying it within software so that everyone's using the same algorithms.
Okay.
But the short form was Earth's rotation. So yes, we voted on the Earth's rotation and we agreed it's rotating and we need to upgrade our algorithms. But there was one rather strange moment. It was realized roughly in the weeks leading up to the IAU, but not 3 months before the lead up to the IAU, that there could be controversy surrounding a resolution to rename the distance velocity relationship that describes the expansion of our universe from being the Hubble law to being the Hubble-Lemaitre, I don't know how to say it, law. For those of you who don't know, this person whose name I can't pronounce.
I think you go with Lemaître.
Lemaître. Okay, yeah. We'll go with Lemaître. Lemaître was a Belgium Flemish priest who did amazing mathematics and defined a lot of the general relativity, a lot of the theories for the expansion of our universe, worked with data when he could get it. He wasn't actually an observational astronomer. And he published, using Hubble-Lemaitre data that he was provided, a paper in French describing the expansion of our universe, giving a value to what we now call the Hubble constant, before Hubble did. And this paper later got translated into English, and the equation that he had to describe the universe's expansion, the paragraph describing the data from Hubble that he used, and a footnote were all strangely not in the paper translated into English. This translation occurred after Hubble's research, and for many, many years, people thought, Hubble did all of this.
But wait a second. I'm trying to understand sort of the chain of events here, right? So who was the first person who observed that galaxies were moving away from us? Was that Hubble or was that?
No, that was an observer working down at Lowell Observatory who had been expecting to see that our all the galaxies around us are moving at a whole variety of
some would be coming towards us, some would be going sideways, and some would be drifting away from us.
And so the early observations taken down at Lowell Observatory were like, no, the bulk of the stuff is moving away from us. So that was the first set of observations, not Hubble.
Right. So then but I guess I don't understand, like, who did the stealing here? Who did the not? Because you say that in the Lemaître paper there was references to Hubble and those were removed?
Yes.
In the translation from French to English.
Yes. So the original paper from Lemaître. I'm hopeless on French. Okay. I'm far hopeless on French. So yeah, the original equations that built on Einstein's work and de Sitter's work and said, no, we don't need this cosmological constant. We don't need to have a steady state universe. In fact, the universe is probably expanding. This falls naturally out of all of these equations. And oh, look, here is not yet interpreted data by Hubble and Lemaitre.
So Hubble took the data and Lemaître figured out that meant that everything was moving away.
And he derived the mathematics describing what was happening.
That the farther a galaxy is, the faster it's moving away from us.
Yeah, and this was in 1927, so several years before Hubble's paper.
Yeah, when was Hubble's? In the early 30s? 30,
It was 31,
31.
and
Yeah.
it was in 31 that this poor Belgian priest was like, "Hey, I got there first. Look, it's in French, but I did it." He
And
said all of that much more pompously, but with a and yeah.
now, is it thought that Hubble knew that Hubble had seen his calculations and put them into his paper and didn't give him credit?
It's even more subtle than that. Uh, at a early IAU, there are records showing that Hubble and Lemaitre, however you say his name,
Any way you
had
want. He's not around anymore.
um, that Hubble and this Belgian fellow had directly discussed this face to face. Now, when
Right.
approached later on about this and asked if he needed corrections done, um, our Belgian priest said, "No, I'm okay with the lack of corrections made to things," and didn't insist on having things added in to the translation. That forgot his equation 24, if you're keeping count, um, and erased the references to Hubble. Now, this puts us in a quandary as a field. Um, so there were a whole bunch of other people that worked out the maths of the expansion of the universe, and then they plunked in a constant, and the universe stopped expanding.
Right.
There was Lemaitre who did it in French, which in one article I read about this might as well have been in Martian for the likelihood it was going to be read.
Right.
He did it first, didn't necessarily publicize it a lot, and then when given the chance to take all the credit for it, in a way that kind of reflects in a good way the fact that he's just like a scientist doing science as a Belgian priest. He was like, "No, I'm good. Everyone knows the science now." And so, what do we do?
Well, I know what we have done, which
Yes.
is, in the past, people who ever are able to sort of win on the game of politics, uh, Jocelyn Bell Nobel Prize, for example,
Yes.
um, gets to gets the spoils, and so in
Yeah.
this case, Hubble did a great job of promoting the research and making sure that the right people saw his work, and he got his name
Yeah.
etched onto a space
Yeah.
telescope.
Now, we like to try and fix history. This is where the period luminosity relationship for Cepheid variable stars has been renamed. Again, IAU was involved here, has been renamed the Leavitt Law, referring to the efforts made
Right.
by the female astronomer Henrietta Leavitt working at Harvard College Observatory. So we like to try and fix history and give credit where credit is due instead of where credit is demanded. So this is one of those frustrating situations. Um, yeah, and and making things even more complicated, just in case you wanted things to be more complicated.
Always.
So it was in an account that I read by Sean Carroll, where he discusses the need to correct himself on whether or not our friendly Belgian priest, should be given credit for the discovery. Um, After he found out about how much earlier and the fact that it was driven by data that Lemaître's paper was written, he went back and was like, "No, we need to consider what's going on." And it really looks malicious that the translation didn't include these things. So that's where the stage starts. So it starts with it looking like this was a purposeful mistake made by the translator so Hubble would get credit. Now, I'm going to read this to you so I don't screw it up. This is from Mario Livio, who did a great deal of research on the matter. He's one of the great Hubble scientists. He's also a really good science communicator through his various books. And he writes, I actually discovered a letter that Lemaître wrote to the editor. He says the letter revealed that Lemaître himself had translated the paper, and he himself omitted those paragraphs, unquote. But why? Quote, he thought there was no point, Livio says, because Hubble's paper already appeared. There was no point to repeat his somewhat more tentative conclusions that appeared before that. So it now appears with the letter that was found by Livio that our friendly Belgian, I'm assuming friendly, our Belgian priest scientist had basically said, nah, Hubble did it better. I don't need to translate this part of my paper. I'm going to let Hubble's firmly held, demanding attention conclusions to stand. Now, he didn't say it like that, but this seems to be the implication that Lemaître was willing to let Hubble take the credit, take the fame, which just makes me want to name it after him more.
So now people understand the controversy. They understand what was discovered and sort of how everything went down.
Yeah.
And so everybody arrived in Vienna, ready to vote.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, first of all, it was realized in the weeks leading up into the conference, but not 3 months before the conference. And this is the important part, that this might be controversial. And like the demotion of Pluto, it might get people in a furry. So rather than worry about small children writing concerned emails to their local astronomers because this law that everyone loved got renamed, it was decided that the IAU would invoke one of its new rules, which is given 3 months notice, votes can be held electronically instead of in person at the conference.
Oh, they fixed the Pluto problem.
They fixed the Pluto problem, but this is where but they didn't realize this 3 months in advance problem comes in, because we're all at the IAU. We all want to vote. It's why we're there, we're there to be bureaucrats. So here we are, ready to vote, being told, okay, we're going to ask you to vote, but your vote does not count because we're going to make you vote later electronically. But we're going to call this a straw man vote, and we're going to assume that the voting outcome of the people in the room directly reflects the votes of the entire IAU population. Which, since I don't think we had a majority fraction of the assembly or of the union present at the assembly, I'm not sure how much that works. Yeah. So we all voted.
Yeah. And
they didn't tell us the exact numbers, but from looking at the hands up around the room, there was, to my eyeball, which is not scientific, about 10-ish% people, again, this is my eyeball, 10-ish% people that said, I'm not even going to make a decision. You're all on your own. So those were the
abstained. Yeah.
Then there was roughly another 20% that were like, no, we deny this vote. And then the rest of us, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What percentage denied?
Roughly 20%, according to my non-scientific eyeball.
Yep.
And then there was a clear majority, roughly 70%, according to my non-scientific eyeball, that were like, yes, we should do this. But the people who were no votes were very argumentative no votes, and they weren't given very long to debate.
So
So now we
so now we have
have,
the Pluto problem back again.
but at some point, presuming 3 months from now, because it's now been announced that we're going to be doing this, there will be an electronic vote. And in the coming months, those arguments that were first brought up in the roughly 20 minutes before our vote, and only 20 minutes roughly before our vote, those people are going to get the fullness of 3 months to say, here are the reasons we shouldn't do this, or why perhaps this isn't the first thing we should do this for. And there was a varied and all quite sensible number of reasons that this maybe shouldn't be our highest priority. Um, and so I'm expecting there to be a wrath of a not a wrath, that's a Freudian slip. I am expecting there to be a large number of think pieces coming out asking us to think hard about what it is we're doing and why other things might be a higher priority, or why maybe this is opening Pandora's box. And yeah.
So the bottom line is there is no official stance yet. The IAU did a pretend vote just to get a sense of the room. It seemed overwhelmingly in favor of changing the name to the Hubble-Lemaitre law. And then, but you're going to do an official vote electronically soon, and who knows what's going to happen.
And there were some really interesting points that came up during the debate. The most interesting, but not the strongest argument that came up was the question was asked, why is it Hubble-Lemaitre versus Lemaitre Hubble? And this is being done by people who can pronounce the languages.
Okay, you know, in the chat, people are giving you a really easy way to do this. Okay.
Okay.
You know, when you go to a restaurant and you know you have the person who
You just point.
the maitre d', right?
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
le maitre d'. So just Lemaitre.
Oh,
So think maitre d', right?
Okay. Lemaitre.
Lemaitre.
Okay, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. And then if you want to get French and fancy, then you can roll your R at the end.
I can't.
Okay.
Okay. So my favorite argument was, why is it Hubble-Lemaitre instead of Lemaitre-Hubble? And the response was, it's easier and sounds better to say Hubble-Lemaitre.
Yes, agreed.
And then came the question of, but didn't Lemaitre do the hard work in the beginning? And wouldn't it make sense, since he was first, to put his name first?
Yeah, but it's the hard work of saying the names in a way that sounds nice. That's the real hard work, right? Not the hard work of who does the math and makes these groundbreaking calculations. What matters is, how does it roll off the tongue? Now, also, you can turn it into a portmanteau, right? So you could kind of like HubbleLemaitre or HubbleLemaitre. HubbleLemaitre?
So far, we aren't doing those in astronomy, for which I'm grateful.
All right.
But yeah, so there was that argument. And then there were a lot of other arguments that had never quite occurred to me. The first was, what about all the things that were figured out by indigenous, not white people of the world first, and then when discovered by generally white cis males of Europe, the name of the not European cis white male was ignored and omitted from the history.
Like when that Neanderthal first named Mars.
Well, there's that. But
and it wouldn't be Mars, it'd be whatever the first Neanderthal. What if we do find the first name somehow written down from Neanderthals of what they called the planets? Do we go back and call? I mean, if they're great, I think maybe we should. If they're really great names.
on a complete tangent, there's actually a working group on star names that is working to collect the indigenous names for different stars and stars that do not currently have a common name in the HRHD.
Yeah.
Pick the atlas of your
Oh,
choice
I
that
love
has,
that more stars have better names.
yeah,
Like HIP91. Who cares? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's your name? No. No, let's give this. The universe is gigantic. Let's go for as many names as we can possibly go for. Like, we will never run out of names
right.
because we will never run out of stars. In fact, every galaxy gets a name. So I hope
And
the IAU really brings this up next time. I know they've
so,
already added a whole pile of star names, but
and that, yeah, this
this
is the
should just be the
starting point.
beginning.
And so we're working to at least collect those names. But the question is, beyond what are the names of the planets, what are the names of the stars to different peoples around the world, what about the discoveries made by people that that aren't Eddington, that aren't Einstein,
Aren't
that
Chandrasekhar?
well, and that was the example I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Is Chandrasekhar was lucky enough to eventually get the um, limit at which a white dwarf stops being a white dwarf and decides it would rather be a neutron star or just explode. That mass limit is named the Chandrasekhar limit. But this is a man who got multiple Nobel Prizes for multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to fight with Eddington until Eddington died to get his work acknowledged. How many other things that Chandra did are just, well, the laws of stellar evolution instead of Chandra's laws of stellar evolution,
Right.
whereas other people get multiple things named after them, like Hubble.
Right. So do you go back, find the first written account at any point, and make that the name of that phenomenon, no matter where it came from and who came up with it? Whether it's in Chinese, whether it's in right. If it's the Crab Nebula, is the name for the Crab Nebula whatever the astronomer from China who first observed it was. That becomes the name of the thing in the official IAU. Now everything is going to have all kinds of nicknames, right? But like the Lagoon Nebula is called the Borg-Homer Nebula
Right.
in my mind. In my mind. So is that the way you go? And I guess the point is like the process of searching and trying to figure out who did this first is incredibly important, and that history matters, that we do take the time to dig back into the records, to be proper historians and give credit where credit is due to the people
Yeah.
who did the work, and to maintain that history. And then at the same time, you can't control what people are going to call things. That's ridiculous,
Well,
right?
this is so there's two different rabbit holes we can go down with this. One is the naming of objects, where the IAU is working to allow objects to have multiple official names reflecting the various cultures that have studied those objects over time. So the naming of things is one rabbit hole. The other rabbit hole that we're struggling with the Hubble Lemaitre, and I'm now going to have to say maitre d in my head every
Yep.
time.
Yep. You're there though.
Um,
You got it.
with this, it becomes more a matter of who is the first person to publish through peer review, no matter the language, a complete understanding of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we see things getting fixed with the acknowledgement that Joycelyn Bell is now getting for her discovery of the pulsar. Well, the Nobel Prize didn't go to her.
But you totally hear like Democritus coming up with the idea of the atom, and
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 we cite it.
and Democritus had no idea what was going on, had no ability to actually figure out that atoms existed, had no actual scientific rationale for the reason,
It's true.
except he, just did a thought process of like, if I cut it with a knife, can I cut it with a smaller knife? Is there a point where I can't cut it anymore? That's the smallest possible thing. That's not a real theory, right? That's
But-
not because you need to observe it. You need to perform an experiment that shows you that your theory is correct. So I think that because a lot of people are going to say, oh well,
and this is
we
where
figured
I said
out
the first complete theory is who you name it for. So
yeah, complete
Lemaître
theory matched by
had data.
observational
He
evidence.
measured. So Lemaître had the mathematical derivation. He used Hubble's unpublished, provided to him freely, observations taken with Humason of the expanding universe, used them to determine an early value of the expansion constant that didn't differ a lot from Hubble's early value. And he published all of the work, but did it in French. So his crime is he published in French. And that's why he doesn't get remembered.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hubble came out with a better write-up with more advanced data and said, why, yes, didn't then reference Lemaître, who he discussed this stuff with, who he provided data to, didn't cite him. And after Lemaître said, but I did this first, and then translated the paper, he just omitted the thing that would have given him credit for it because he was that kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Do we erase him from history? Which is what was on the route to happening.
Yeah. Well, and I think so. I think I said what I think, and so I don't think I need to double down on saying what I think, which is like when you use stellarium and you look at an object that has a Messier number, it also has an NGC number, and it can also have an IC number, and it will it will have a Sinbad number, and it will also have a there's all these other numbers that it's going to have as well, and so things will have multiple names. And I think the history of these concepts are fascinating and well worth going back in time to figure out and understand the best possible story that you can. And the moment you find plausible evidence that somebody came up with something earlier, you slot that into the history, and you should recognize it in the official places to make sure that it does get accepted and put in there. But this is a history problem, not a science problem. At the end of the day, what nature
the science
does
is the same.
Yeah, the science is the same. This is a history issue, a history problem, and I'm sure historians can already talk about how complicated naming things are and what impact that has. So we got to wrap things up, but when will we know the final answer?
No idea.
But at some point in 3 months, some person is going to show up with an envelope. They're going to hand it to you. You're going to make a mark. They're going to take that envelope away, and the answer will happen.
I suspect it will be a checkbox on a website and then a press release. But however it takes place, we're going to bring all that information to you here on Astronomy Cast.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear the answer. Thanks, Pamela. Welcome back.
Thank you, Fraser. Glad to be back and glad to see you.
Right.
Okay.
Stop that recording.
Yes.
Export that audio.
Yes.
Episode 499, in case you forgot.
It won't stop recording.
Stop it.
There.
Stop the recording.
Okay.
All right. Chad, come on down. Here, I'm gonna pull the mic, so I hope we don't get any echo from you.
Hello. How's it going?
Hello, Chad.
I was hoping to get here in time for that and then to answer you, jump in frame and answer you back.
Do you want to grab a chair or something?
Yeah, sure.
Grab a chair from upstairs. Or like the
Oh, there's a wooden chair here.
Sure. All right. Yeah, but then I think the stool will make you high up. So,
okay.
But maybe that'll work.
Will it? If I'm behind you?
Yeah.
I'll get behind you. Like this.
There you go.
Yeah, this will work.
All right.
I'll scrunch down.
Yay. We have a Chad.
I think I will. Yeah.
I'll be a minute.
We're only going to be 15 minutes. So there's us. I guess, but you're going to have to
I'll scoot.
You'll scoot. Yeah, we need a better chair for you there. There you
Yeah,
go.
I
Let
can-
me grab something.
All right.
Okay.
What are we doing?
Wait, he's escaping. He's escaping.
He'll be back. He'll be back. He's just getting a better chair.
Okay.
We're just doing the live show. By the way, you're broadcast on the internet, Chad.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. All right. Chad was in Europe and is back here to run a bunch of errands, to give his editing computer a hug, which has been sitting beside me for months. And Chad's favorite, Fraser's partner. Oh, no, I do.
Oh.
No, Carla is my partner. Chad's our editor for Astronomy Cast.
And
More
he
like
will
Fraser
be
as
with
time
us.
goes on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
And
inevitable.
Chad will be with us at the Astronomy Cast 500.
Yeah, so Chad does all of the video editing for all of the work that I do on the Guide to Space. And Chad also does all the audio editing for all of the work we do here on Astronomy Cast. And we were super glad to be able to bring him with us to the 500th episode of Astronomy Cast. He's going to come and hang out. And then Chad's going to join me. I guess he will kind of be my partner. Anyway, Chad is going to join me and the kids on the cruise that I'm doing with Dr. Paul Sutter in the end of September. And he's going to be shooting the cruise and shooting a bunch of the live events that we do on the cruise so that we can actually share what's happening. So, yeah, that's why Chad is around, and it's great to have. When was the last time you were in Canada?
11 months ago.
Yeah,
I
so
left like the end of September.
yeah, so it's been almost a year. He's been in Prague
Yeah.
for the last year. So
One of my favorite cities.
It's wonderful.
I envy you so much.
I hope people can hear him okay. I'll try to make them. Yeah, I'll make the mic a little closer to you there. Cool. So as always, if anyone has any questions for us, are we twins? No, I'm so much older than Chad. Although he is a twin, right?
Yeah, I do have a twin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chad is a twin, but
Not
not
yet.
with me. Yeah. But fraternal or identical?
Fraternal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Scott Bragdon, thanks you for your amazing work, Chad.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. Did you see the Golem, James
Oh,
North?
finally a face for the sorry Chad, man. Oh, the bloopers always crack me up.
Yeah. Did James Norris is asking? Did you see the Golem in Prague?
No, I walked past the building where the golem is. I did that ages ago. Do I do editing in Prague? I do editing over the internet, so I can do editing everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, the way what we actually do is Carla does the shooting with me, and then we take all the files and we drop them on our network here, and then Chad has his editing computer sitting beside me.
is.
Yeah, there it is. And then he connects into it remotely and runs the computer, and then processes all the stuff locally, and then he's able to edit the video. So every now and then Chad it's as if he's in the house. Zapfan's asking, did you bring back some Staropramen?
Staropramen. It means Old Spring. No, I didn't. It's beer. No, I didn't.
Why didn't you?
I just have a backpack. I travel very light, so you can't get that in carry-on.
Yeah, it's really complicated to carry alcohol, any liquid, through when you fly. So it's like I would have so much more scotch here in the house, but every time
You chuck your roller bag coming home.
I don't check bags ever.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's why you can't get any liquid. When
Yeah.
you bring them little tiny,
Yeah, you just
little tiny bottles.
whole bunch of little
You
bottles.
get 10 of those into a 1 liter plastic bag and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Phoebe McMullen asks, Pamela, what does non-gray mean, as in a non-gray theory? I see it in papers and I don't know what it means.
Hold on, which chat was that on?
That's over in
Oh,
the
there I
YouTube
see
chat.
it. I have no idea. I'd need more context.
Yeah. Prague because Pilsner Urquell. Oh man, the beer must be so good there.
It's wonderful.
Oh.
And it's like really affordable.
Yeah, it's cheap and it's super good. We're gonna go for beer like as soon as we wrap this up, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
At Vienna, same with the
Yeah.
beer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Germany, also very good. Also very good.
Beer. Go ahead with any questions. Were there any questions earlier on?
I'm now Googling non-gray theory because I want to know.
Yeah. You're gonna look that up? All right.
Yeah.
So but with the Lemaître, you almost had it. You somehow changed it to maitre. You went to Lemaître. So remember, maitre d.
Oh.
Lemaître, not Lemaître. Look at it.
Bolivia.
Preset the like button.
Oh, this is the thing
Belgium
that goes
for the
on
Trappist
after the Q&A that goes on after Astronomy Cast.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think Nancy
Oh.
does the editing of this afterwards.
Yeah, she must, because I've never seen this.
Yeah. Yeah, and you never hear it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I don't know whether, but is there an audio? There's the full feed, and I think there's an audio version of the full feed, but we don't do any editing on it.
Right.
While you do an edit on the actual regular Astronomy Cast.
Yeah.
Arjun asks, does Chad mostly do science editing?
I basically only do science editing. Fraser's basically my only regular client. But yeah, sometimes I do promo videos for different people. But yeah, right now it's basically the space and astronomy. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I learn a lot, and I can suck up all the media that I can get my hands on for the videos.
The funny thing about it is, I mean, Chad's been doing this for so long on my videos that he knows so much about it and knows where all the secret repositories of space video are.
All the information.
Right? And so it almost feels now a little bit more like a conversation. Like we'll shoot the video and hand it over to Chad, and then I have no input in what it looks like whatsoever. And then Chad will just go like, it's done. And I'm like, looks good, and it's got a bunch of pictures and even jokes in it. And I have no real sort of input into how that goes. It's fun. Arjun is also asking, can we do an astronomy cast about water worlds? Yeah, we should, because there's a lot of really new, interesting research that's come out about their potential habitability, that some of the TRAPPIST worlds might be water worlds, that they're, that's fascinating. Let's write that down. Let me write that down into my ideas for topics. Or should we just make that episode 501? Have we got a plan for episode 501?
No.
Can we
I
call
need
it
to
water
think more
worlds?
about these things.
Nancy, no, Susie. Who books our
Invoke the gods.
Yeah, Susie, who books our future episodes.
Whales.
Yeah, and then we can talk about the European space whales. Zapfan is asking, any other interesting news from the meeting? So what else happened at the IAU?
Oh, I spent a whole lot of time in a small back room working with an amazing group of people to put out 110 stories in 2 weeks, which Fraser may think of as nothing, but we were quite proud of.
That's amazing. Where did you post these?
On the IAU's official news site, which happened to be astronomy2018.cosmoquest.org.
I didn't know that. So you were like the news editor of the
As
IAU's
editor-in-chief, yeah.
Of the IAU's publications?
Yeah.
Huh. How come I didn't get... Anyway, okay. I didn't find out about this. Weird.
That is
Okay.
sad. You don't read Twitter enough.
No, I sure don't. Okay. James Aberson asks, do binary stars have planets orbiting them?
Some of them do, just like some stars do. And what's cool is, depending on the spacing, you can end up with a planet orbiting the two stars in the binary, or planets orbiting each binary independently.
Or both?
I don't know if that's been seen yet.
Yeah. It'd be rough because you need to have the stars at exactly the right distance where you could have a planet going around both of them, and at the same time, each one could have planets going around them.
So what could happen, relatively straightforward, is with a triple system, you can have the two that are closest together have planets going around it, and then the other one that's further away have planets going around it.
Arjun asks, does Pamela have any chocolates to show us? Did you pick up any chocolates in Vienna?
Yes. Do you want me to run downstairs and get them?
Sure. And
Okay, I will
we'll get a
return.
question here for
And
Chad.
Susie, I'm dropping you a link on nongray atmospheres that I apparently can't share.
Carolyn B asks, how long does it take Chad to edit Astronomy Cast?
Oh, Astronomy Cast, maybe 4 hours. So it's really not too bad, and I can get that done in a day. So I usually do them over the weekend, depending on time zones.
What takes the most time?
For what?
For editing Astronomy Cast? Because you're cutting.
I have to go through the whole thing. I have to go through the whole thing and take out the ums or buts or the parts where somebody messed up and has to start over again. So I have to listen to everything, and then I just heavily edit it. So it's I take out the blank spots.
Right.
Yeah. So I basically just everything else other than the syncing and the checking the levels. That takes no time, and the denoising. That's really fast. And then it's just listening to the whole thing and chopping it up into little pieces.
Right, and cutting out just all the badness to make it sound a lot smoother.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. A hole in the ISS. Do we know what caused it? So what we know right now about this, so for people who don't know, there was a air leak from the Soyuz spacecraft that was attached to the International Space Station, and what we know right now is that it's a drill hole. What we don't know is why. So is it sabotage? Did somebody from somebody on the ground before they sent it, did they drill a hole to endanger the astronauts? And if they did that, they did a bad job of attempting to endanger astronauts. And then, or was it just like someone described it as like someone had a shaky hand when they were doing some work on it and they accidentally drilled another hole in it? There was a great experiment. Cody from Cody's lab. I don't know if he posted it, but he was challenged by Scott Manley to build a vacuum chamber to prove what would happen if there was a hole that big on the International Space Station. That the astronauts would not be extruded out of the space station like some kind of spaghetti, but Cody was able to just like stick his finger over it, and he was like, and then the air stopped, and then he pulled his finger out, and he took some duct tape and he put it over the hole, and it was fixed. So it caused a little puck mark in the duct tape where the air was trying to get out. So it's not a enormous danger. It is a oh wow, you got like space chocolate?
Kepler?
They're called Kepler's chocolates. And I'm going to do a photo session with them once I have two arms functioning again.
That's cool.
And they're painted amazingly, and they taste as amazing. I got a box from the organizers after I'd already sampled a box and bought boxes for my students. And so we are surrounded by the devourers of worlds.
Oh, can you pass me the thing behind you there?
And then they also gave us little baby, not actually champagnes, because champagne has to come from Champagne, with more chocolate, which I'm now going to figure out how to break into with only one hand.
Oh, that's great. So one last thing just to show you, Pamela. I don't know if you heard, Carla gave me this for my birthday.
Yes, that was amazing.
Oh, that's what whoa.
Yeah. It's a kilogram of metal asteroid.
I don't remember which impact site was that from.
It's the Campo del Cielo.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little rustier than the other Campos that I've had, which is too bad, and so I need to paint it with protective stuff to try and stop it from degrading any further.
Is it a part of this one too? Or is this a different one?
That's the same one, yeah.
So
right.
For comparison,
yeah,
this is like,
yeah. So, Cool. Well, you know what? We've reached the end of our hour.
Yep.
Everybody. Oh, actually, okay. One more thing.
Yeah.
Must be that thing.
This thing.
Yeah.
These stands are really cool. Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah. So this.
Oh.
So this is a move a globe. I don't know. Have they reached out to you yet?
No.
No. So they asked. So it's a little globe where you've got like, floating around inside. You've got, and so I asked for the star charts one. Because I thought it would be a great idea. I'm like, oh, we're going to show you a part of the sky that we're observing tonight. But it is no good for that.
No, it's really not.
I can't make it turn. So I have absolutely no control over where this thing is pointing. So I can't, so it's awesome and it's beautiful and it's a great thing to have around and to play with, but I can't actually use it to show people what we're looking at in the night sky. So anyway, there we go. See, not so weird. Whoa. So there you go. You can play with that if you want. All right, let's wrap things up. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back, Pamela. Welcome back, Chad. Welcome back, all fans. As always, go to the wshcrew.space if you want to join the awesome community that we have here. And we're ramping back up. Next week, we're going to probably make it a live show for the live stream for a lot of the stuff that we're going to be doing. So the live telescope is happening. You're crazy busy over on Twitch. So there's a lot of great stuff coming. And the best place to see that is actually at the wshcrew.space. They've got a great calendar of all the projects that we're working on. So definitely go there and check it all out. All right. Thanks.
And
oh, yeah.
I get to see the two of you live next week.
Yep.
And a bunch of you out in the audience. I almost said atmosphere. A bunch of you out in the
out
audience.
In the atmosphere.
whose Wi-Fi is coming at me through the atmosphere. I look forward to getting to meet all of you face to face and to seeing the two of you again.
All right. See you later, everybody. See you later, Pamela. See you, everyone.